The morning sun painted the neighborhood gold, yet tension brewed where peace should have lived. A new car pulled into the reserved parking spot outside a luxury townhouse, sleek, black, and spotless. A man in a navy suit stepped out, calm and composed. He looked around, breathing in the quiet. But within moments, the sound of hurried footsteps broke the silence. Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, stormed out, clutching a clipboard like a weapon of authority. "Excuse me. That's not your spot," she barked. The man turned slowly, his eyes soft but steady. "Actually, it is," he replied with quiet grace. Karen scoffed, circling him as if she owned the ground he stood on. "Don't play smart. I know everyone who lives here. You don't belong in this community." The man didn't argue. He simply smiled faintly, unlocked his trunk, and began unloading boxes. That quiet confidence only fueled her fury. Neighbors peeked from windows, phones recording, whispers spreading like wildfire. Karen crossed her arms. "You people think rules don't apply to you." The man paused, looked up, and for a brief second, the look in his eyes silenced everything. The moment lingered. The air felt heavier now, the quiet filled with judgment. The man, whose name was Marcus, spoke softly. "Ma'am, I've lived here for years. I was away for work." His tone carried no anger, just weary patience. Karen laughed, sharp and cold. "Oh really? And what kind of work keeps a man gone long enough for everyone to forget him?" Marcus didn't answer. He picked up his final box, a frame wrapped in paper, and walked toward his door. Karen followed, recording on her phone. "I'm reporting this to the HOA. You'll regret lying." Marcus stopped, turning to face her fully for the first time. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "people regret speaking before knowing the truth." But she didn't hear the warning, or maybe she didn't care. That night, she posted the video online with a caption, "Trespasser caught in private HOA community." By morning, it had thousands of views, and a storm she never saw coming had already begun to form. The next day, the HOA office buzzed with whispers. Neighbors murmured, unsure what to believe. Some defended Karen, others stayed silent, uneasy. Meanwhile, Marcus walked into the community meeting, calm as ever, holding a folder. Karen froze. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't angry. He simply approached the table and said, "I believe my residency records were misplaced." The HOA president looked nervous as Marcus opened the folder. Inside were ownership documents, utility bills, and a homeowner's certificate with his name clearly printed, Judge Marcus D. Wright. The room went quiet. Karen's face drained of color. "Judge," she stammered. Marcus met her eyes, his voice firm but composed. "Yes. Federal judge, district court. And I expect this community to value respect as much as it values rules." The silence in that hall spoke louder than any argument ever could. Karen's phone, still in her hand, felt heavier now. The symbol of her judgment turned against her. News spread like wildfire. The same video Karen posted now circulated with a new caption, "HOA woman harasses federal judge." The internet had turned. Karen's confident tone from the video was now the sound of her own embarrassment. Reporters reached out, neighbors avoided eye contact. Marcus, however, didn't engage. He went about his days as though nothing happened, watering his plants, greeting those who dared to say hello. But late one evening, Karen knocked on his door. Her voice was trembling. "I didn't know," she said, her eyes downcast. Marcus opened the door, expression unreadable. "You didn't need to know who I was to treat me with respect," he replied. The words struck harder than anger ever could. For the first time, she had no defense. He didn't gloat, didn't shame her, he simply wished her a good night and closed the door. That silence was her punishment, and her leçon d'ise passed, but the neighborhood felt changed. The same people who once ignored Marcus now waved, smiled, and tried to make small talk. Yet he wasn't bitter. He simply carried himself with quiet dignity, letting his actions speak louder than words. Karen, on the other hand, withdrew. She stopped attending HOA meetings, her voice no longer booming over the microphone. One afternoon, a letter appeared on her doorstep. It wasn't angry or accusatory, it was a handwritten note from Marcus. "Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened," it read, "but it can stop it from happening again." She read it over and over, unsure if she deserved such grace. That night, she sat outside for the first time in weeks, watching Marcus return from work. For the first time, she smiled, not out of habit, but from humility. He nodded back, and in that quiet exchange, a bridge began to rebuild. Months later, the HOA held its annual meeting. Karen, nervous but determined, stood before the crowd. "I want to address something I once ignored, respect," she began. Her voice quivered but didn't break. "I judged someone by appearance and forgot that kindness has no color, no status, no condition." The room was still. Even Marcus, seated in the back, seemed taken aback by her honesty. If our rules don't include humanity, then they're not worth enforcing. She finished, and stepped down. Marcus approached her after the meeting, his expression soft. "That took courage," he said. She nodded, eyes misty. "I learned it from the men I wronged." They shook hands, not as enemies, not even as neighbors, but as people who had both changed. Time has a way of healing what pride once broke. A year later, the same parking lot that sparked conflict now saw laughter and shared greetings. Marcus continued his quiet life, and Karen, once the HOA's strictest member, became its most compassionate advocate. She started new community programs, helping others find understanding instead of division. The viral video that once embarrassed her became a story of growth, proof that change is possible. And Marcus? He never once mentioned it again. Because sometimes, justice isn't about punishment, it's about showing the world how grace looks in action.